Welcome back, tribe. I'm so glad to see all of you again. Yeah. Um, Today I want to talk about a topic that is a little bit off the wall and a little bit insane. And that would be Slender Man. Okay, so before you start rolling your eyes and copying an attitude and changing to a different YouTube video, wait, hold on a second. The reason I'm so obsessed with this topic as of right now is because just yesterday, me and my mom went to see the actual movie that just came out, the Slender Man movie. And I was expecting it to be kind of awful. I have to go see horror movies because I am the self-proclaimed horror movie queen, especially in my town. But I was a little hesitant. I was thinking it was probably gonna suck a lot because, no offense to teen drama horror movies, they usually suck a lot. But I was pleasantly surprised. If you are looking for amazing CGI special effects and the best acting you've ever seen in your life, you're probably going to be a little disappointed. So if you just go into seeing the movie like I did, kind of expecting it to suck, you will be pleasantly surprised because it's really not as bad as I think a lot of people are thinking it will be. But it got me interested in the actual topic of Slender Man. I've heard the name in passing. Back to the topic at hand. So, Slender Man. I started hearing this name probably around the time that I graduated high school, which coincidentally was 2009, when Slender Man was kind of created, if you will. He was an online, what's the right word here? Creation? Fan thing? I don't know. Anyway, a lot of stories started being posted on places like Wattpad, and let me see, where else were they posted? Something Awful forums, creepypasta.com for sure. And it was basically just these random creepy stories that were posted, and I think the term Slender Man was coined by a user called Victor Surge. That's not his real name, that's his username. But this person posted two photos that he openly admitted were altered. He altered the photos himself, and he actually coined the name Slender Man and kind of made this creature a little bit more famous now that it had a name to go by, right? So because Slender Man started out as this internet sensation, this joke, prank, whatever you want to call it, it makes it really hard to discern between what is fake on the internet and what could potentially be actual proof. Now, I know a lot of you are rolling your eyes come on, Michelle, you know that this is all bullshit. But do we? This is what got me kind of thinking about it, because at first I was like, oh my gosh, the fangirls are having a moment right now. However, if you go to, hold on 1 second. If you go to if you go to slenderman.wiki.com, you will find a lot of links and history and different things like that that kind of make you wonder if Slender Man hasn't been around for a little while longer than 2009. So the creature Slender Man apparently kidnaps children. That was one of the first few stories kind of published about him, and he's actually linked up with different fairy tales and things like that of other creatures who were known to kidnap children. The online character, as I said, was created in 2009, but the actual legend that has been somewhat linked up with Slender Man kind of extends back into the 16th century, so he's got a little bit of history there. I don't know if that was intended by the people who originally created Slender Man or started writing stories about him, but as we know, a lot of, a lot of fictional monsters, creatures, whatever you want to call them, are rooted in actual historic legends. Take Dracula, for instance. Maybe he's not a blood-sucking vampire, but he was taken from an actual person who did exist. And so this basically seems to be a modern-day rendition of a very old fairy tale. So, just to get a little bit of history going, because I absolutely went through an obsessive moment yesterday after the movie where I wanted to learn all that I could about Slender Man. So I went to, like I said earlier, I went to slenderman.wiki.com. Not sure how reliable source that is, but it did have a lot of links and connections and resources to kind of read up about Slender Man. So according to that website, and according to another website that I did find, there were several woodcuts, which are like basically pieces of artwork where they carve into the wood pictures. They found several woodcuts dating back to the 16th century in Germany. Why do all the creepy shit in the world have to come out of Europe? I don't understand. I don't understand. 16th century Germany, and the woodcuts were featuring some kind of creature that looks a lot like the modern day renditions of Slender Man. And do not ask me to pronounce this name. I'm going to put it up right here so that I don't have to say this name, but they had a specific name for this creature. And he was said to be a fairy, kind of a creepy looking fairy, but a fairy who lived in the Black Forest. And it was said that if children were naughty and went into the forest at night, as they were told not to do, that basically Slender Man would chase them, and he would never stop chasing them until he either caught them or until they confessed what they had done to their parents. So that's interesting. I mean, a lot of fairy tales were basically created to keep children in line and, I don't know, kind of scare them into submission a little bit, which there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, because if it works, it works. So there was actually more evidence, if you will, found of this creature that dates back to a 1702 journal entry that someone somewhere found in Germany. And it references this creature. And what strikes me as kind of making this possibly a legitimate piece of evidence is the fact that it's someone's personal journal. It was never really intended to be found. It was just kind of there. And I mean, as anyone who's ever found an old dusty journal, the things you read in there can kind of be a little creepy. It's not like somebody meant for it to be published and get famous off of. The person who wrote it was long since dead. So it makes you kind of sit back and wonder, like, what did happen? Could that have been true? There is also a Romanian fairy tale about two sisters, Stella and Sorina, and their psychotic murderer mother, who, from the sound of the fairy tale, seems to be in league with either the devil or some kind of creature that resembles Slender Man. And let me just tell you that it was the most disturbing fairy tale I have ever read in my life. I don't ever want to read it again, and if I could kind of like delete it from my memory, I would, because that, hands down, it even beats Hansel and Gretel as far as just disturbing fairy tales. I don't ever, because you know what was disturbing about this fairy tale? It had no purpose. Even with Hansel and Gretel, there was a purpose, there was a lesson learned, there was something to teach children, yes, in a kind of terrifying way, but there was something to teach children like what not to do. But in this fairy tale, there's no lesson learned. It's just kind of like one of the first horror stories, in my opinion, because it was that freaking terrifying. It really freaked me out. On the same website that I referenced earlier, and I will post hopefully the link, but if not, just the address, down below in the information section. Yeah, you can tell my brain's not working today. Anyway, there was another incident that I kind of want you guys to, if you are interested in this as I am, I want y'all to take initiative here and kind of research this, because I didn't even get to finish researching this case all the way. Something about the Henderson Horse Farm case in the 1950s. I don't remember where it took place at, but I just want you to search up Henderson Horse Farm case, Slender Man, and I'm sure you'll find the information that you need, because that's kind of what popped up whenever I was looking at it. But this took place back in the 1950s, and basically what happened was this farmer, whatever horse farmer, was found in his home, kind of like barricaded in with a shotgun in his hands. And for the longest time, he wouldn't speak, he wouldn't really do anything, and it was led to believe that he killed his family, especially his wife, who was found with a giant shotgun blast through her body. So he was sent to prison, and then years later, I think around 1956, he actually opened up his mouth and started talking. And the story he told had an eerie, coincidental description similar to that of Slender Man. So that was a little bit creepy. Again, he might have just been a complete psycho and killed his whole family, and years later decided to try to blame it on some figment of his imagination, but you never know. One of the real life horrors related to Slender Man were the 2014 Slender Man killings. Basically what happened was that there were these young girls, I don't remember how many there were, I'm pretty sure there were at least 2, who were completely obsessed with Slender Man, to the point that they wanted to become proxies of Slender Man, which are basically the same things as brides of Dracula. Like, they wanted to be basically monster groupies. I'm not going to touch on the disturbing element of that. And they killed, I don't know if they actually killed, scratch that. They committed 2 stabbings, basically for Slender Man. They made a documentary on that called Beware the Slender Man, and it came out in 2016. So if you're interested in it, go check that out. I'm going to try to find it. I bet I can find it on Amazon, if nothing else. That, to me, is probably the most disturbing part of this story, just because the human mind is a very powerful thing. Sometimes I wonder if we don't create certain monsters just based off of pure obsession. But the very disturbing part of this whole thing is that, like, when you become obsessed with monsters, it's very easy to kind of become a monster yourself. So even though I have been obsessing about Slender Man and researching Slender Man and all this stuff, it's always important that whenever you are researching dark subjects that could potentially kind of darken your spirit and your heart, that you balance that out. So, like, for instance, today and the next few days, I'm going to put all of my Slender Man stuff away. I'm going to focus on Tribe of Many Nations, things that are very positive in my life, and my faith, and different things like that, to kind of balance it out. Because if you focus too long, too often, whatever, on the dark side of the world and the potential darkness that exists in the world, it's really hard to climb out of that. I know from firsthand experience, and it can actually lead to, like, depression and, I don't know, just negativity that nobody really wants to live with, or should want to live with anyway. So just keep that in mind. If you do research things like this, if you are obsessive like I am, it's okay. It's okay to be obsessive, but just remember to balance your life out. Don't just focus on the paranormal, and don't just focus on the dark side of the paranormal with that. So if you're researching Slender Man today and you want to research something tomorrow, research something a little more lighthearted, like, I don't know, fairies. Although in some cultures, fairies are quite twisted and scary, so maybe not fairies. Anyway, there's this one quote, which I won't tell you yet. I'm going to end with that quote that literally, I believe they did use it in the movie, and it scared the bejesus out of me. So I'll share that with you before I leave for the video. Before I end the video, sorry. This video is going to have so many edits in it today. I cannot talk. Gah! Anyway, so one thing that I was interested in is, in the movie, these girls, like teenagers tend to do, decide to try to summon Slender Man. I'm not sure how I feel about that, because on the one hand, I do have, like, moments where I'm like, you know what, I want to try this. I want to just try this and see. But on the other hand, you got to kind of remember how dangerous that could be. Like, even if you're rolling your eyes at me right now, saying, oh my gosh, Michelle, none of this is real. But there's always, in my opinion, the slight chance that it could be real. So it's kind of like, do I want to risk that? Or do I want to just stay safe? It's your decision. But Wattpad, which is actually one of the places that there are a lot of Slender Man stories, fictional stories, has step-by-step directions on how to summon Slender Man. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and tell you, because if you are that interested and you're hell-bent on summoning Slender Man, you're going to find it somewhere. So I am going to tell you how, supposedly, to summon Slender Man. And there are different ways. Like if you go on YouTube and search summoning Slender Man, you will find 10,000 freaking videos. And a lot of them have different ways of summoning Slender Man. But this is the most common one. So basically it says, go into the woods at night and carve a circle into a tree with an X through the circle. Easier said than done. Have you ever tried to carve anything into a tree? It's kind of hard. But anyway, that's the first step. Then press your face gently against the tree where the mark is and close your eyes. Then you're going to do a chant. I'll go ahead and tell you the chant, even though it creeps me out to say this chant. Slender Man, all the children try to run. Slender Man, to him it's part of the fun. Slender Man, dressed in dark, his suit and tie. Slender Man, you most certainly will die. Creepy! Oh my gosh, I don't think I could ever make myself do that in the forest alone at night. And then the last step is to simply turn around, and he should be there. Now, on YouTube, I found several people trying to attempt to film themselves summoning Slender Man, but they always had like other people there with them. And I feel like if you're really trying to summon something, it would probably only work if you were completely alone. Now, no, I am not telling you to go out into the woods by yourself and try to summon Slender Man. I really hope and pray that you do not do that. Because at the very least, you are still putting yourself in danger by even going out into the woods alone at night. Like, there are animals out there that could hurt you. Could step on a snake or something, I don't know. And if you're by yourself, I mean, who's to say some axe murderer isn't living out in the woods near you? Now I just creeped myself out. Anyway, but I did find several other ways on YouTube. There was one YouTuber that said you have to mark the circle and the X on 12 different pieces of paper. You have to go out into the forest and place the pieces of paper in a clock-like pattern and then shout, "Slendy, I summon you." I feel like that was like the biggest piece of BS I've seen all day on Slender Man, because I mean, Slendy. I feel like that was a joke. Or if it wasn't a joke, then it should have been. But yeah, there are some YouTubers that will use a mirror or they'll burn some. I don't know. I saw a bunch of really weird ways of summoning Slender Man. The reason I wouldn't suggest messing with things like this is because whenever you're trying to summon anything, even if it's something like Slender Man that most likely does not exist, you are kind of leaving yourself open to possibly inadvertently summoning something else. For those of you who know me at all, I do believe that negative entities and demonic entities exist. Go ahead and roll your eyes and change channels now if you want to. I hope you don't, but if that bothers you, sorry. But I do believe that negative and demonic entities exist, just like I believe that human spirits exist. I believe in angels. I believe in a lot of stuff. Slender Man, I don't know about. But anytime that you are trying to summon something that has the potential to be a very dark entity, I feel like you are leaving yourself open to negative influences, and like you're opening a door. You're inviting something that is very much dark and negative anyway into your space. And I just feel like that could be potentially very hazardous. Even if it wasn't Slender Man per se, it could be something else that's just taking advantage of you. So always be aware of that. Always be cautious. I wouldn't want anybody to think that, oh, I'm just playing a game right now and then be stuck with a freaking demon attached to them. No, let's not do that. on that note, the last few things I'm going to say are I got a whole lot. I have several more books on the paranormal that I just got in for the shop. If you are interested in checking those out, you can definitely head over to my Etsy shop, www.etsy.com/shop/tribe of many nations. Or if you're lazy like me, you could just go to Etsy and search in the search bar Tribe of Many Nations, and my store pops up. I have several of them listed already, and I wanted to kind of show off one that I just got in yesterday. Confrontation with Evil. This book I may read first before I actually post it, and the only reason is because it is an entire factual review of the 1949 possession that inspired the book and the movie The Exorcist. So it actually gives you facts about that situation and that case. And to me, that's really awesome because, as most of us know who have researched anything about that story, it wasn't a little girl, it was a little boy. And the little boy had played with a Ouija board that I think he supposedly had found outside of the home. I don't remember if that was a different story I was reading or not. But yeah, there's a lot of things about that case that are not told in the movie or that were changed in the movie. So I encourage you, if you don't want to wait for me to post this book, hell, you could probably find this book on Amazon or something like that. And if you can't, just wait. I'm sure I'll have it read in a day or two, and I'll have it posted on the website. If you're that interested in it, I only have a handful of copies right now, so you can shoot me a little message saying, hey, can you save one for me and make a special listing for me, and I would be happy to do that. They are going to be $16 each. Because I'm annoying and I round up that one little penny. $15.99? Come on now. It's $16. That's it. So, that's it for today. I hope to have another video coming y'all's way soon. I am so freaking excited. Tonight is the first ever NAC Paranormal Society meetup at a local bookstore called The Boss Light here in Nacogdoches, Texas. I am leading the group, and I am very nervous because I have no idea how many people are going to show up. I have a feeling it's going to be a lot more than I originally thought, and even though I enjoy doing videos and stuff like that, obviously, I have a hard time speaking sometimes in front of people, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, I love you all, and I hope you all are having a great weekend. Yeah, and I will see y'all next time in the next video. So, peace.